All right, man, peace. So over the last 3 years or so, Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks has become not only a fan favorite, but a favorite of many of the NBA media pundits, to the point where this season, he's pretty much the favorite to win the MVP through about 25 games or so. Do I believe that he's going to win it? No, I do not. As of right now, barring some type of catastrophic injury, I think that it's going to be very difficult for Steph Curry to not win the award, because it's very clear that those are his intentions, or that is his intention, to win this year's NBA regular season MVP award. Well, Giannis recently decided that he was going to let people know that he's not a fan of NBA players being friends off the court. So, of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Speaking of heavy hitters in the East, Giannis Antetokounmpo sits atop the NBA's most valuable player leaderboard this season, but he isn't just letting his play do the talking. When asked to join Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, James Harden, and a bevy of NBA players in New York to play in a pickup game this summer, he decided not to attend, saying, quote, "I can't work out with you in the summer and then play you in a few months. It feels weird. It doesn't feel right with me. Like other players, it's cool for other players, but I don't want to."
What that tells me is that Giannis is a person who has trouble separating what goes on the court with what goes on off the court. Certain people might say to themselves, well, that means that he's a throwback to the 1980s. Well, now we're in the 2010s. So he's going to have to understand that he's going to have to take a different approach if he really wants to be able to optimize everything that there is out there to gain by sometimes fellowshipping with many of these other players. I mean, if that's the case, what are you going to do? I'm not going to play for the USA in the Olympics because I don't want to be around these guys. So I'm just going to go play for Greece. I understand it to a degree, but I think that he may be hamstringing himself a bit. He might not understand that now, but down the road, I believe that he's going to understand it to a greater degree.
I love it, Molly.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Of course you love it, because it feeds into this falsehood, this fake fan narrative that back in the 80s nobody was friends. And that's just not true. Magic Johnson, Dominique Wilkins, Herb Williams, and Isaiah Thomas all used to work out together in the offseason, and Mark Aguirre. And they were all very close friends. Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley were very close friends. Scottie Pippen and Karl Malone were very close friends. This notion that back in the 80s and 90s, none of the players hung out with one another off the court, nobody worked out together off the court, that's nonsense. That's a lie.
That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it was in the 80s and 90s, and not to be the old man's
Lie.
and saying it's better in the day, but this is what fans sign up for. We believe that there's some concept of competitive loyalty.
Well, listen to what you just stated, Will Kane. You said this is what fans sign up for. We believe. So you're pretty much like kids who can't be told that Santa Claus does not exist because it's going to hurt your feelings. I don't see any carryover into being friends off the court and not competing hard on the court. As a matter of fact, oftentimes it's the opposite. Oftentimes friends go at each other harder because they want bragging rights.
The idea that you look across the court, look across the field, and what you see is not just a friend, but you see an enemy because you have to beat them. Remember last week, and I know you do, when we got in this big argument over Baker Mayfield, one of the things I liked was the way he was treating Hugh Jackson as a competitor. Like, honestly, and not deep down like you're my enemy, but in this moment, you are my enemy because you are on the other side of the battlefield from me.
Well, when you're a mature-minded competitor, you know that when you're on the field or in the ring or on the court or what have you, you know that now you go into a different mode. When you're off the court or off the field, I mean, it's sometimes just a matter of maturity. You grow into that realm or into that zone where you can separate the two things. Sometimes when you're young, when you're a novice, you're unable to separate those two fields or those two spheres.
Giannis doesn't want to share any trade secrets. He doesn't want to help anybody out on how to stop him. He wants to...
Right, but nothing against Giannis. Right now, what he is an incredible athlete. He needs to be around many of those players to get a greater understanding of how they play and how they approach the offensive end of the court, because his offensive game is still very limited, and it does not quite show in the regular season, but in the playoffs it's going to show more.
Treat the enemy as they are, and I love this. It's the way it's supposed to be.
He pretty much is like a 6'11", 240-pound Shaquille O'Neal. That's why I was not surprised when Shaquille decided that he was going to call Giannis the new Superman, because they play very alike. Of course, due to the fact that Giannis is much lighter, he's much more fluid on his feet. But in Shaq's first 2 or 3 years in the NBA, he also would take it full court to the basket. He also was very nimble in the paint, much like Giannis. But Giannis has to expand his game more. In 2018, you have to be able to stretch the floor.
You know, you would love it because you're not the nicest guy in the world, Will. I mean, one can make the argument, you know, you hurt my spirit right now. I mean, why the vitriol? Why the animosity towards this guy? Here's the deal.
Giannis strong as hell, though.
In all seriousness, I can understand you loving that attitude. I would love it too. Doesn't mean it's smart.
Absolutely.
Here's why. Who are the best players in the world? The best players in the world are playing in the NBA just like you are. How do you measure yourself and your level of greatness? How do you work on how do you notice your deficiencies? How do you know how to overcome them? Where in the world are you going to go if you're the Greek freak to find competition?
Thank you, sir.
Like Kevin Durant. Where in the world are you going to go to find competition like LeBron James?
Yeah, but is it worth it if they get a leg up on you?
Well, wait a minute.
Molly Karam, I have news for you. They already have a leg up on Giannis Antetokounmpo. The only people who think that they're worried about what he brings to the table on offense is the person in the mirror. Giannis is the only one who thinks that he's a threat to James Harden and LeBron and Kevin Durant. They're not thinking about him. It's you guys on TV who are going to try to stoke this fire. Yeah, Giannis, don't go work out with them because they're going to learn your trade secrets. They already know what he likes to do. That's why they have coaches. Coaches create scouting reports. Everybody in the league knows what everybody else likes to do. The point is, can you stop it? And they work out with one another in the off season to learn other things from each other. And then when you face off in the regular season, in the playoffs, it's just a matter of how well did you learn what I taught you, and are you going to be good enough to be able to utilize it on me? And am I going to be good enough to be able to utilize what I learned from you on you? That's all it's about. Just like in boxing, you have top prospects, top fighters even, that spar against one another. You get in the ring, it's a whole different story.
Wait a minute. You got to be smart enough to peel from them without them peeling but so much from you. That's what you have to do.
I don't like this argument. Don't like it.
Listen, I'm not here for you. I'm not here for your affections, baby. The bottom line is I'm telling the truth. I just asked you a question because the reason it's important, Will, is because...
Well, the issue is, Stephen A. Smith, you're not quite explaining it right. That's why they didn't buy it. The real way to explain it is, Giannis, you're not a threat to anybody, dude. Get out the first round. Get out the first round, and you could worry about trade secrets and all this other nonsense.
Because, again, attitude-wise, I totally understand, and I'm with you. I'm old school. I think like that. The flip side to it, I'm looking at a Greek freak that shoots 11 or 12% from three-point range.
Thank you, sir.
I'm looking at the Greek freak that come playoff time is formidable as you are, as elite as you are. You might not be able to get to the basket with the degree of regularity.
Yeah, but I got you.
I'm looking at guys like Kevin Durant and LeBron James, two of the greatest players on the planet. Yeah. And if I have an opportunity to go up against them, it ain't going to make me worse. It's only going to make me better.
Right. And you have yet to even be a modicum of a threat to either one of those two players in the playoffs. So it's really them who should not be inviting you, because they're the ones who have something to lose, not you.
I got to consider that.
I got you.
Go ahead.
So you got got within the last 24 hours on this argument. There's a reason I don't like this argument. It's not about my affection for you. It's that it doesn't hold up. It's weak. It doesn't work. Last night, what happened when LeBron James and Dwayne Wade played each other? LeBron, not just that, how did it end at the end of the game? LeBron denying D Wade, right?
Yeah, because he knows him so well, and he bottled him up.
Oh,
hey, man.
Yeah, that's exactly why that happened, because LeBron James knows D Wade so well. LeBron James has never gotten a big stop in his career. Now, we know that LeBron has not been the best defensive player in the NBA the last 4 years, even though he's been better this year. But LeBron James has a history of making big-time stops against great players. Look at what he did against Derrick Rose in the 2011 playoffs. Was that because they worked out together the offseason before that? Now, give me a break.
Lord.
Okay, listen, Mr. No, Stephen Naismith. You get to be right. You can say you know more basketball than Will Kane, but if you're going to come up here and say you know more basketball than D Wade, we got a problem, because D Wade afterwards told us exactly that. LeBron knows me too well. He knew the move I wanted to make. He knew the spot I wanted to get to. He knew how I was going to try to get to it.
D Wade was playing into the notion of them squaring off for the last time. At the end of the day, if you study a scouting report, you're supposed to know what everybody that you go up against is going to do.
And what did he do? He got there first. He denied me.
That?
There's not always benefit in trading secrets.
Allow me to refute that. Here's how I would do so. You can find a bevy of dudes that knew what Michael Jordan was going to do.
Thank you, sir.
What were you going to do about it? You can find a whole bunch of dudes that knew the crossover from Allen Iverson was coming. What you going to do about it? You knew a whole bunch of dudes that knew that Kobe Bryant was going to fall away with his baseline shot or pump once or twice in the lane for a pull-up jumper. What you going to do about it? My point to you is simply this. It's not a matter of knowing. D-Wade didn't lie to you, but he didn't articulate the most obvious point of all.
All D-Wade was doing was propagating that narrative about it being the last roundup between himself and LeBron. I mean, it is what it is.
He ain't the D-Wade from 7-8 years ago. Because guess what? LeBron would have known it back then and still wouldn't have been able to do much about it.
Agreed.
Because D-Wade was a different D-Wade. Yes, last night we respect him, but that's not the same D-Wade. So your argument is weak, respectfully.
There is
Let's move
the
on.
point of imposing your will.
Please.
There's also in having a few secrets.
Well, you would know because it just got imposed upon you.
Got him.
Let's move on.
I might
I
have a
like
few
hanging with
secrets.
the competition. Joining us next is what.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see if there's any potential fallout from Giannis' comments, because he does have to be careful. I do admire the fact that Giannis is not trying to become a part of the old boys network within the NBA. We'll see if that holds him back, because some of the hobnobbing that many of these players do is not just to exchange trade secrets, but also, remember, many of them are brothers in Lucifer. And I'm sure that that's going to go over a lot of people's heads, but it's just the case. And we'll see if there's any fallout when it comes to that and Giannis. But just from a basketball perspective, Giannis literally has nothing to lose by going to a camp or a workout with these other players, with Kawhi and LeBron and D-Wade, Kevin Durant, whoever was there, to improve his game. Because as of right now, he's not good enough to lead a team to a championship. He's just not. But anyway, peace.